An unexpected encounter. A few weeks ago, I received an unexpected message. On my phone screen appeared a name I didn't expect to see. It was a message from a 14-year-old girl named Kelly. She asked if I was her father. I froze, holding my phone in my hands, wondering how that could even be possible. There were so many questions running through my head. Kelly? My child? Maybe she had the wrong number. But I responded, "Hi, Kelly. I think you might have the wrong person. My name is Alex, and I'm not your father." It seemed like the matter should have ended there, but her next message made my mind spin. "You're my mom's cousin. My mom is Natalia, and I've been trying to find my real father. I found out about you, and I just need to know if you could be him." Shock, uncertainty. I couldn't believe what I was reading. My family had always been rather closed off, and I hadn't heard from Natalia in years. The last time we spoke was several years ago when she left town. Now, here was this girl asking me about whether I was part of her family. I couldn't think straight, but the first person who came to mind was Artem, my cousin. He was the only person who could have known anything about Natalia, and he was the one who could explain whether Kelly had any connection to our family. I decided to call him. "Hey, Artem, have you heard of Kelly? She says she's your daughter." Artem immediately started nervously laughing on the other end of the line. "No way, man. It's all nonsense. Natalia made up these stories. You know I haven't had anything to do with that family for a long time." But I didn't have time for idle chatter. Kelly was part of our family, and I needed to understand what was going on. So I decided to speak to her in more detail. Chapter 2. Old Scores. And while Artem and I had long been estranged, I couldn't believe that he was so quick to reject his own flesh and blood. But could I really blame him? Maybe our relationship had always been rocky since childhood. It seemed like we were always at odds with each other, but nothing could have prepared me for what came next. I vividly remembered how, years ago, Artem tried to stir up drama when he found out about my brief relationship with Natalia. He went around telling the whole family about it, just to mock me. Back then, I didn't understand why he did that. I had always tried to be kind to him, yet he would constantly hurt me with his words. When I decided to move to another country for work, Artem didn't stop criticizing my decisions. He tried to lecture me about every aspect of my life, even claiming that my marriage to Elena was wrong, saying it was some sort of bloodline mix. Even though this wasn't true, I realized that his toxic behavior was the root of our conflicts. He kept interfering in my personal life, even when I moved to Norway to work for his father. And now I found out that Kelly was his daughter. This made me wonder why he had chosen to renounce his parental rights and why he didn't want to meet his own child, no matter how important it was to her. Chapter 3. Revelations and Consequences. Everything started moving quickly after that. Kelly and I began talking more, and soon I found out that she wasn't just searching for her father, but also wanted to meet the rest of her family and learn more about her roots. This was incredibly important to her, and I decided to support her in this. But as the news spread, it quickly became clear that the consequences would be dire. After I shared the news with Artem's daughters, Irina and Maria, they told their mother, and it caused a complete uproar. I couldn't believe how quickly everything spread, but most of my relatives were in shock. It turned out that Artem had been aware of Kelly's existence since the moment Natalia had asked him to take a paternity test, which he had refused. That was his choice, and now he was facing the consequences. Unraveling the past. As the days passed, it became harder to ignore the emotional toll of everything that had happened. Kelly's search for her father had opened old wounds, and with each new detail that emerged, I couldn't help but wonder if it was all worth it. After the news broke about Artem's rejection of Kelly, I decided to visit my Uncle Jack in Norway. Jack was Artem's father, and he had always been a constant figure in my life, unlike Artem, who seemed to always find ways to cause conflict. It was time to figure out what he thought about all of this, especially since he had disinherited Artem. When I arrived at Jack's house, he welcomed me with open arms, as he always did. However, I could see the sadness in his eyes as soon as I mentioned Artem's actions. "I never thought my son would go this far," Jack said quietly. "But then again, I've known for years that he wasn't the man I hoped he'd be. Still, I had to make the right decision. I couldn't have someone like him inherit my wealth." I nodded, understanding the weight of Jack's words. The legacy of the family was important, but what good was it if it was passed on to someone who had no integrity? "What about Kelly?" I asked. "What are you planning to do with her now?" Jack looked out the window for a moment, his gaze distant. "I invited her and her family to spend Christmas with us here in Norway. I want to make up for the years she's missed. She deserves a chance to know her family, and I want to be a part of her life." That decision took me by surprise, but it made sense. Jack was a good man, and even though Artem had disappointed him, he was determined to make things right for Kelly. I was relieved to hear that she had a place in his heart. Chapter 5. The Gathering Storm. Meanwhile, Kelly and I continued our conversations, and she shared more about her life. It wasn't easy for her. She had grown up with a mother who never told her the full truth about her father. Even though she had always known about Artem, she had no idea how deep the wounds in our family really ran. "I just want to know who I am," Kelly said one evening over the phone. "I want to know why my mom kept all of this from me." Her voice wavered, and I could feel the frustration and sadness in her words. She wasn't just searching for a father, she was searching for answers. And those answers were buried deep in a tangled web of lies, misunderstandings, and missed opportunities. "I think your mom had her reasons," I said gently, "but I promise you I'll help you get those answers. We're family, Kelly, and I won't leave you hanging." Kelly's response was quiet, but it was clear that my words gave her some comfort. She was no longer alone in this search. A broken bond. As the weeks went by, the tension between Artem and I grew. I knew he blamed me for the family secrets being exposed, but I didn't regret what had happened. He had made his choices, and now he had to live with them. What hurt the most was how he had treated Kelly, rejecting her so easily, as if she were nothing more than an inconvenience. One afternoon, I received a call from my cousin. "You think you've won, don't you?" Artem's voice was full of anger and bitterness. "You've made a fool of me in front of everyone. Now my life is ruined because of you." I took a deep breath, trying to remain calm. "I didn't want any of this, Artem. But you made the choice to walk away from your daughter. You did this, not me." "You should have talked to me first," he shot back, "but instead you went behind my back and told my daughters. You had no right." I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. "You didn't even care about Kelly. You never cared about her. You sold her out for a few £1,000 and abandoned her like she was nothing." Artem didn't respond immediately, but I could hear the sharp intake of breath on the other end of the line. He was angry, but deep down, I knew he was ashamed. It was his guilt that had driven him to lash out. "Goodbye, Artem," I said before hanging up. I had said all I needed to say. There was nothing more left between us. The damage had been done, and our relationship could never go back to what it once was. Chapter 7. The Christmas Invitation. As Christmas approached, I received another unexpected call, this time from Jack. "Alex, I've decided. Kelly and her family are coming to Norway for Christmas. I want you to come too. It'll be a chance for us to really get to know her, and for you to see her as well." I was touched by his invitation. It felt like a new beginning, a chance to rebuild what had been lost in our family. I had never thought I'd find myself in this position. But here I was, being asked to be part of something bigger than just the conflict between Artem and me. I was being asked to be part of Kelly's new chapter, to help her heal and grow. "I'll be there, Jack," I replied. "We'll make this a Christmas to remember." Chapter 8. Reconciliation. The day of our family gathering in Norway was filled with mixed emotions. I was excited to finally meet Kelly in person, but I was also nervous about how things would unfold. After all, this was a new chapter for all of us, and there was still so much to work through. When Kelly and her family arrived, I couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. She was everything I had imagined: intelligent, kind, and full of life. I saw bits of Artem in her, but there was also something uniquely her own. It was clear that she had been through a lot, but her determination to move forward was inspiring. "Hi, I'm Alex," I said, shaking her hand with a smile. "It's great to finally meet you." Kelly smiled back, her eyes full of curiosity. "I'm glad I found you." We sat down together and spent the evening talking about our lives, our families, and the past. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I was part of something real and meaningful. There were no more secrets, no more lies. Just family coming together after years of separation. The family dinner. The first Christmas in Norway felt like a fresh start. The house was full of warmth, and for the first time in years, it felt like we were all coming together as a family. Kelly, though still processing everything, seemed to be opening up. Jack made a toast to new beginnings, and the family, despite the past, seemed to be healing. Kelly was no longer alone in her journey. She had us now. Chapter 10. The Apology from Artem. A few days later, Artem messaged me. His message was simple: an apology. He admitted to his mistakes and expressed regret for how he treated Kelly. This was the first time I saw him vulnerable, and while I wasn't sure if he truly understood the depth of his wrongs, I replied, letting him know I was willing to listen and that Kelly deserved the truth. It was a small step, but a step forward nonetheless. Chapter 11. The Future. The time in Norway passed quickly, and as we left, Kelly had formed a bond with Jack and the rest of the family. She was no longer the stranger in the room. I still wondered about Artem. Would he ever change? But Kelly was on a path to healing, and that was what mattered most. She knew she belonged now, and I would always be there for her. The call from Artem. A few months passed before I received another call from Artem. This time his voice was different. There was no anger, no blame. There was only an apology. "Alex, I've been thinking. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've hurt people, including my own daughter. I don't know what to say except that I'm sorry. I've been trying to change. It's not easy, but I'm working on it." For the first time in a long while, I didn't feel the urge to hold on to my bitterness. Maybe it was time to give him a chance to prove that he could change. "We'll see what happens, Artem," I said quietly. "But I hope you're ready to do the work. It won't be easy, but I'm willing to give you a chance." As the phone call ended, I felt a sense of relief. For the first time in a long time, I felt like our family had a chance to rebuild, not just with Kelly, but with Artem too. Chapter 13. New Beginnings. It's been a year since that Christmas in Norway. Things have changed in ways I never expected. Kelly is thriving, and the bond she shares with her newfound family is stronger than ever. Artem has made strides, though it's clear that his journey to redemption is still ongoing. But he's trying, and that's all we can ask for. Our family has found a new balance. It's not perfect, but it's real. We've learned that forgiveness is not about forgetting the past. It's about accepting the mistakes and moving forward, together. And so, we continue to move forward, one step at a time. Because in the end, it's not the mistakes we've made that define us. It's what we do after we've learned from them.